Welcome to Paradigm Live, the weekly stream where you get all the news and deets you need on the CyberBrokers universe. I'm Mike Carterell, your friendly leftover and community manager.
And I'm Brianna. You might know me as Lady Diamond Hand. I help out with marketing, lore, and a few other things here at CyberBrokers.
And we got another good one. We've been loving watching everyone post their PixelBroker assets over the weekend, and that's going to be the focus today. But before we do that, we need to talk about what CyberBrokers is.
Yes, so if this is your first time joining us here in Paradigm Live, or you're new to the CyberBrokers universe, we want to introduce ourselves. We're a metaverse-native media and entertainment company, and we're working on building an entire universe. So we have doing that through our beautiful collectibles, our content, our lore, our interactive experiences. So welcome to Paradigm Live, and we're hoping you'll join us here.
Absolutely. So make sure to check out our website, cyberbrokers.com. We call it the core, the place to go for anything you need to know about CyberBrokers. Make sure to follow us on Twitter, CyberBrokers with an underscore at the bottom. Don't be fooled. And we have two primary collections right now, CyberBrokers, the original from last year, and Genesis Max, which are finally here.
Yes.
Okay. I'll take the first one. So as a reminder, as always, you need to make sure you're token gated in Discord. Stuff is happening in there. I'll tell you the FOMO right now. Do not miss out. If you are not token gated, you're not seeing it. So make sure to go to Discord and check the holders verified channel for that information.
And then we have some exciting upcoming dates. So PixelBrokers launched last week. We are going to be at NFT NYC this week, and then next week we have Mech Assembly. So we're going full steam ahead here at CyberBrokers. Lots of awesome, exciting stuff coming up in the next few weeks.
And I'm dressed for the occasion because I'm ready for my New York City pizza. So I got my slices outfit on.
Your Satoshi Slices gear ready to go.
Yep. The rest will be focusing on PixelBrokers, just catching everyone up about the details, the bounties we have, the first integration with World Wide Web, and then our special guest from the Pixel Shop who's going to give us a behind-the-scenes look at how PixelBrokers were created. Let's get into it. I'm loving checking these dates off. 1 week from today, right?
1 week from today, we've got Mech Assembly, which is super exciting. So yeah, friendly reminder, make sure your parts are revealed. There's no deadline for that, but obviously you'll need your revealed parts in order to assemble. So head to pretty.cyberbrokers.com if you haven't revealed those parts yet. And then yeah, Mech Assembly, April 17th. Super exciting.
I think we can divulge a live party time.
Yes, so we will be having a Mech Assembly live stream to celebrate Assembly Day. It'll be 1 p.m. Central Time, and we have some really fun special guests who will be joining us to talk about some things that you'll be able to do with your fully rigged 3D files with your mechs. So that'll be a really great live stream. We have some really fun announcements. We're having a fun giveaway. Josie's going to be there. Mike is hosting. It'll be a really good time.
And let's not forget you, Brianna, making it all happen in the background. So you don't see Brianna on some of these, but she's making sure it all works. So let's make sure we remember that too. And then there'll be a slew of events that come after that, but we're just going to focus on the date of launch for right now.
Yes.
Okay. Let's back up and talk about NFT NYC. You want to take the first one?
Yes. So we're super excited. So tomorrow, can't believe it's already tomorrow, we're doing an activation with Mona. If you haven't seen our announcements, we're also co-hosting our event with Mona. So we're doing all this awesome stuff with them. So that'll be in Times Square tomorrow from 8:30 to 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We will get to see kind of the live launch of this activation. To be in Times Square during that time. but you're going to be at our party. We'll have other ways for you to be able to get access to this activation. So we're super excited, but we'd love to have you there if you're around to kind of see it happening live. So the perfect way to kick off NFT NYC tomorrow night.
And this is the part of the famous NFT NYC takeover of billboards in Times Square, right?
Yes. So if you were going to come anyway to kind of see that takeover, we'll be there as well. So you might see me and Mike hanging around, handing out some QR codes.
Yeah, you want a QR code, and you want to look for Josie's artwork, which will be up on the billboards, correct?
Yes. So Josie artwork, we're going to have the CyberBrokers Mona activation and just the NFT NYC takeover. So it's like a fun kind of casual thing to kick off the week, which would be really cool.
Yeah, and if you haven't been to that part of NFT NYC before, it's definitely a must see. Just being in Times Square and watching every billboard you see turn into NFT artwork is just phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then the main event is the Metaverse Mixer with CyberBrokers and Mona. That will be held on Wednesday from 3 to 5 p.m. at Javits, actually part of NFT NYC conference, level 4. You do not need a conference ticket, but you do need a ticket for the event. So if you don't have one and you want to get on the wait list, come into Discord meetups, and we can help you there. Again, need to be token gated to get there. Anything else we need to say about that? That's going to be a little mix of a panel of a quick talk about the metaverse, and then I think it's going to be a lot of socialization and discussions.
And a DJ.
Yes, I forgot the DJ. That's right. Yeah, so traditional CyberBroker style, it'll be a mix of activities.
Yeah, kick off your night. I know that there's a lot of other stuff going on, so we want to be the start to your night out at NFT NYC.
Exactly. Okay, that we're done with Mech Assembly. That takes us into PixelBrokers. Oh my God. Okay, Brianna, before we start, how hard has it been not to talk about these things for 4 months?
It's been kind of crazy. And I mean, we've been doing so much in the background with we had Reveal and an Assembly and NFT NYC. So it was kind of fun when at Paris, we kind of just dropped that this was happening. And it was just really fun to kind of just give this to kind of all of our holders who weren't necessarily expecting it. But as you know, at CyberBrokers, a big mission here is we want you to be able to rep your CyberBroker in all areas of the metaverse, the internet. So PixelBrokers just made perfect sense for us. The art is awesome. It's amazing. So yeah, it just was really fun to kind of just mic drop that announcement, and seeing everyone play with it has just been really so cool.
We've all had, in our internal Slack, as we review these, each individual assets, we'll drop our favorites in, and we're all drooling, but we're we can't post it external. It was so tough in certain cases. So let's keep in mind, these are not NFTs. And the reason is because they're an extension of your CyberBroker. So they will be attached to your CyberBroker as an owner, and that's kind of the utility word, and the idea that like you said, you should be able to bring your assets into multiple different metaverses, whether it be 2D, 3D, IRL. That's the concept. So if you can quickly get to your PixelBroker assets, let me share a screen here. So if you go to CyberBrokers, let me back up one here, and go to CyberBrokers browsing. You can pick any CyberBroker. This would be a good one.
Yeah,
And there's,
headdress. It looked really cool.
yeah, so there's a little PB button up there. You pick that, and there's a PFP version. So this is standalone, front facing. You could actually turn it into, your Twitter or your Discord PFP. But what are they? I don't even know what they call those avatars.
PFP avatar,
Image
your online persona.
persona. Then there's the on the move version. So this is a GIF file, and it shows all the various animations sequence.
Mhm.
And then you want to talk about the 3 scenes?
Yes. So these are really, really cool. We'll talk about it a little bit with the Pixel Shop, but these beautiful scenes were created by the Pixel Shop to kind of bring some of our iconic locations to life. So they're looping parallax backgrounds where you can drop your Pixel Broker in. So we have Moss Falls, which if you read our lores, featured in one of the first few chapters. Same thing with the Strip. The Strip is kind of like the hub of the capital of the paradigm, which is our fictional universe. And then I was really excited about Tombstone because this is also mentioned in our lore, but we haven't actually pictured Tombstone yet. So this is the first time CyberBrokers ourselves, we've brought Tombstone to life, and I think it came out so cool. It's kind of like Wild West meets, sci-fi dystopian vibes. So these are the first 3 that we have started with. Keep an eye out. We might have a few more dropping in the future. But these are just beautiful scenes.
Not too much alpha. Remember, we gotta limit the alpha per show. You just used up one right there. Yeah, for me, Tombstone is one of my favorites so far. And a huge shout out to Lost Paradigms, because I think some of the inspiration for Tombstone came from their project. And if you haven't heard about Lost Paradigms, make sure to go to Twitter, Lost Paradigms, an amazing high-res Twitter banner project that is based upon the CyberBrokers world. So shout out to them. Tombstone, I think, is a direct relation to what you're seeing here.
Yeah, all the signage was inspired by the Lost Paradigms artwork.
Yeah. Okay, but wrapping this up, you've got your sprite sheet. If you're a creator, you can grab that and do stuff. And then there's a zip file for everything but the scenes. And the primary reason is the scenes are so large. we can't zip them up. Okay, so let me come back. Okay, so available now. We just showed you how to get them. The first integration is World Wide Web. So go to web.game and we'll talk more about that. You want to give the summary on the right?
Yes. So here's some stats for you. So as Mike mentioned, we've been working on these for a while. So these ended up costing us, it was 1,100 artist hours, 1,000 plus unique pixel assets, and 4+ months to create. So all of this together has led to one of the most detailed and diverse pixel collections ever created. We're super proud of them. And I think if you kind of explore the little Pixel Brokers, and we'll see once the Pixel Shop comes and talks, you'll see how much detail we were able to get into these little pixel sprites, it's amazing.
Yeah, the magic they created. I can't wait to hear more about that.
Yes.
Okay. So just some details. We kind of covered this, but they're 48 by 48 pixels, which is standard, or is larger than the standard. The standard is 32 by 32. So that's one of the ways, we're adding some more of the details. They're 4 direction, so east, west, south, and north. And then they're 6 frame. That's a little bit of an upgrade from a 4 frame walk cycle. So it gives them a little more personality, and you'll see some of the hair will flow, and the fishing pole, and yeah, I'm trying to. What other ones have you noticed that have a little character to them, like the smoke?
The buskers too. They have their like the smoke, like anything with like the cigarette. I love the AI cat with this cigarette. Oh
yeah,
so good. And then all as you'll see, like the details into how each and every, species, like how the humans walk is different, how like, the rats walk versus the cats. So they all have like, you'll see the personality between, all the different talents in the species, and it's so cool.
Yeah. So we've talked about the assets. I don't think we need to go into that too much more. This is just, quick example, the sprite sheet, the PFP version in the middle. Unfortunately, the animation doesn't show here, but Sumia's will help us with that in a minute. And then our 3 scenes. Okay, let's talk about bounties, because I've seen a couple already. I've seen Pixel Broker Flappy Bird.
I know, I saw that too. That might have been Ballistic, maybe? I can't remember.
I think it was CBGB.
Was it CBGB? Yeah. That definitely gave me a laugh. I was not expecting that to be the first.
Yes. Well, it kind of makes sense. It's a very common, popular game.
Yeah.
So make sure you're in Discord. There's people in the creators and Pixel Brokers channels posting things they're creating. So that kind of. So there's 2 bounties. There's a tool bounty and a game bounty. So a tool bounty is help community members do something cool with it. So like Merck helped Vo, take 1 frame of each of his Pixel Brokers and put it together into like a glitched version. So we're looking for tools that holders can use, kind of like the banner tools and things like that. The deadline for that is April 27th for submission. And then we're also looking for Pixel Broker games. They don't have to be complicated. We're not talking about some game that's going to take you months to figure out. Just some simple brokers running around. Select your broker, and the deadline for that is May 4th. And I did see there was actually another one, and I need to give a shout out here. Let me find that. Noveez, Noveez, in Discord has a cool little web-based tool to show your Pixel Broker running around on your screen.
Oh, cool.
So we've seen a couple already. Get creative. Let's see what you got. If you got questions, come into the creators or bounties channels. Happy to answer questions, help you use the assets that exist there. And on the website, in the community section, these 2 are listed as bounties, and all the details of them are there. Did I miss anything?
I don't think so. I'm excited to see what our community creates with these.
Yeah. Oh, and of course, 500 USDC for each bounty for the standout submission. How can I forget that part? Okay, I think. Oh, World Wide Web. Oh my God, we've been having so much fun with this.
I know. I've been seeing people's videos of this. It looks so cool.
Yep. So you just go to web.game on a browser. You connect with your wallet. Note, if you're using delegate.cash, connect with your hot wallet, not your cold wallet. And you can see on the first small image, you pick the left icon to get up your inventory. And then you pick the avatar icon, and you can simply select one of your CyberBrokers to be that avatar in game. That's the whole point, right?
Yep.
Click, connect, use. Done.
Easy.
They have 3 games. Explore really isn't a game right now, but there's a whole world you can explore. There's trains you can go on. There's apartments you can go in. So it's fun to just walk around. They have Rug Busters, which is a single-player shoot-'em-up, high-score type of game. I think all the CyberBrokers that have played have absolutely loved that game. And then there's Blockbusters, which is more like a team-on-team game. So 2 versus 2, 3, 4, and 5. They do have some ranked matches in there.
And I think they're hosting some game nights for people to try out their Pixel Brokers with these games, right, Mike?
Yes. So on launch day on Thursday, a bunch of us got together and went in. There was one on Saturday, and there's one coming up on Wednesday.
I think, right, yeah.
Yeah. So look in Discord. If you want to play and you're looking to do the team one, just pop in PixelBrokers and say anyone around. Most likely you'll catch someone quick. And I was talking to World Wide Web, and they've already noticed all the CyberBroker teams that have been playing. It's kind of well, you look so unique.
Yeah, and the details are just like insane.
Yeah, well, and it helps. Their standard avatar is like this skinny naked person, so they stand out, significantly. Okay, I think that's it for World Wide Web. We are trying to work with others, so if you know of other pixel games that integrate, sprites, let us know in PixelBrokers channel. Not moving ahead. There we go. Okay, here we go. It's time for discussion with the Pixel Shop. So I'm going to bring up. Welcome, Sumiez from the Pixel Shop.
Hey, thanks for having me. What's going on, CyberBrokers?
You want to give any background on yourself, or just go to the company?
Yeah, sure. So I'm the founder of the Pixel Shop. We've actually been in business just over a year now, but basically our whole mission is just to build more utility in the Web3 space. I've been following NFTs probably around since 2020, 2021 timeframe. So, we haven't built any collection ourselves, but our thought process and philosophy was to, do what we're good at, which is creating pixel art and animations, and start to, offer that as a service so that people in the space, communities in the space, can start to extend on their IP and build more use cases with their characters and NFTs. So that's a little bit of background of us. We're a small team of 4 people right now. A couple artists, myself, and jack of all trades, programmer / artist / game design, and we all kind of have, kind of a hand in all of it. So, but yeah, it's been a huge pleasure working with the CyberBrokers team the last 4 months. It's a monumental task, one of the most complex collections we've worked on, which is both insanely rewarding, but also comes with its challenges. So,
yeah. So I kind of wanted to come back to this slide of the number of hours and the number of assets. So when we first started, this wasn't the target, right?
No.
A
little different.
Yeah. So the project, as we got into it, we realized to do it justice, it needed more work, and I think. The 1,100 artist hours. So those are all hand-drawn pixels, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So that the insane amount of work that went into that, and then when we say 1,000 unique pixel assets, could you explain more what that means?
Yeah, that's really a combination of all individual layers, both from the trait side, like the different outfits, to the base body models, the different avatars that we design. So, from the cats to the ad buddies, specters, so on and so forth. So basically, like, our final input that went into our script to assemble was approximately 1,000 assets.
Yeah, and
1,000 PNGs.
It's probably close to the layers concept, but it's not an exact match because there's certain things that got reused in different areas, right?
Yeah. There's some that gets reused. There's some that because we're dealing with 4 directions, we had to split up certain assets into 2 different layers, or 2 different, basically a front view and a back view. So yeah, definitely some nuances between your collection and ours. And then obviously, we went through, and there's no backgrounds. Things as small as like pins really, don't translate into pixel art that well. So you'll see a lot of like those small layers are the ones that were excluded from the number.
So let's start and talk about the naked bodies, because this is where it all starts, right? This was the base human character.
Yeah.
And I remember, how did you come up with this idea and help make it unique versus other collections and their base characters?
Yeah, so the main thing that we're looking for is to still capture the essence of the original collection. So that's really what inspires of the design at its root. But obviously, since we're dealing in pixel art, that's kind of our expertise. Our lead artist has many hours doing pixel art. He's a professional in this space, and so finding something that both translates from the original collection, but also kind of has that nostalgic sprite feel to it, like you would see in. I don't want to say retro games because it's kind of more of a modern pixel art style. And so if you're familiar with, the retro games, we kind of explored one of those designs at first, which is, a little bit smaller of a character, less colors, less detailing, less shading, a little bit more nostalgic. And then this is kind of more of a modern pixel art look. So
Cool. And then the next step was taking the base characters and then applying layers for different talents. Like, I've got some examples here.
Yeah, this was definitely one of the most fun steps. We tackled a lot of this early too, so kind of more or less reskinning the base characters into all the different rare talents and species that you all have. So even I think Ash is or Ashara is like the only one that's like moderately different, but like even I think her stance is like different, but otherwise it's still the same base model. Obviously a couple more arms on her. So
Yeah.
But yeah, this step was super fun, just like coming up with all the reskins.
Because this is where the creativity comes in, right?
Yeah.
I just love the Spectre. Even the Spectre, like you made it semi-transparent. Like the details on how different each of these are is like so crazy to me. Like I think someone mentioned it when we launched. They're like, "Wait, I think the Spectres they're kind of transparent," and that was like a whole thing that I know you guys talked about. Like, okay, how transparent should they be? But it's just so cool, like seeing them lined up like this and how unique, like each and every single one of like the talents are.
Yeah, the transparency is funny too because how it appeared in the software. We're using a program called Sprite, and if you're familiar with pixel art, it's like the most popular tool for creating new pixel art. So, but the funny part was that the Spectre in Sprite versus World Wide Web had like almost a different transparency level. And so, if anyone has the opportunity to play it and see it in World Wide Web, it's pretty ghostly, which is it fits the Spectre, and it's a really unique look in game.
I think we have a question from someone about the reskins.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that one. I want to get through a little bit more until we get to Dot's question. Okay, so we've got the base characters, and then you had to create separate base characters for some of the talents because they weren't human, right?
Yeah. So this was a pretty challenging step as far as amount of time that goes into it, because basically each of the rarest characters we treated just as, I mean, if you look at the AI cats, they each we explored doing like a base cat model and reskinning them, but you lose so much because you have some of the cats are pretty long and skinny. A couple of them are pretty fluffy. You have the kitten, so we ultimately decided with the team that we should design them as they are in the original collection. So the aliens have similar base models, reskinned, and that was kind of something unique just as we were working through the aliens, is that they actually have what almost looks like armor, right? So they have the skin below and then the armor on top of them. And so we kind of designed it similarly to assemble those. The ad buddies here were super fun because at first it was the same thought process, whereas it's like, do we want just one ad buddy? But what really kind of makes them unique is their different colors and gradients that are in the original collection. So we figured we might as well give them give them the full color breakdown. So we have the gradients. We try to capture it how, if there's a couple unique ones, a lot of them were just like a gradient left to right, 2 different colors. And some of them like just complete curveballs where there's like 4 or 5 colors mixed in, different angles, different, different places. So we followed suit and replicated it as closely as we could. And then the rats were just so fun.
Yeah, so the cats ended up being one of ones. So each one is unique. No shared assets, right?
Correct.
And then the rats, I think you ended up with two unique ones.
Yeah, the rats were interesting because it's a little bit. There's some overlap between the 5 of them, like the overalls, the paintbrush, the paint rollers, things like that. We were able to recycle, but ultimately they're all one of ones as well.
And I'm just going to go through them. So the skulls had some different coloring, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, they had 3 base colors. And then the traits from the skulls were actually, the skulls are designed basically the male human. We just took its flesh off. So it's the same skeleton you would see under that character in theory. Yep. So because of that, the outfits fit. Obviously, there's some holes between the arms and things like that we need to fill in. But yeah, something unique about that we noticed, and this is probably the most fun part of doing these projects, is you learn just everything about the collection. So having like the skulls that had some unique assets tied to that was pretty cool. Like the basketball shorts and jerseys, really fun. That's the one that really stands out.
You ended up. Say it again, Brianna.
I have to check the basketball skull out. I just realized.
He's cool.
He's one of my favorite unique CyberBrokers.
Yeah, he looks good. That was fun designing that one.
And I think people may not actually realize this, but some of these CyberBrokers don't have talent or don't have traits associated with them, but they actually do have layers that make them up. So the skulls are a good example. So they're kind of one of ones, but they're made up of layers, and the Pixel Shop had to deal with that in making sure that all the layers that for skulls fit.
Yeah.
Was there any challenges in doing that?
Yeah, it was. There's a couple different ways we looked at it, I guess. We almost treated each CyberBroker kind of fits into one of 2 categories, whether it's assembled programmatically, otherwise where it was more of a custom approach where we really just went and looked at the asset, the actual CyberBroker itself or the final NFT from the collection, and just made sure that all assets were accounted for. And so that skull that we were talking about with the basketball jersey, that's kind of a good example of that, where those jerseys didn't exist in the rest of the collection. So we just had to make sure that, we assembled it custom.
Yeah. And then Dot was mentioning the incumbents. There's actually 4 different versions of the incumbents.
Yeah, we have there's I believe 5 or even 6 fish, 2 suits, different ties,
female, yeah.
Male, female, yeah. So doing the fish was so much fun, honestly, because it's such a small real estate, and that's kind of where pixel art shines, is interpreting, large or full resolution things into 6, 7, 8, 9 pixels. So.
And Brianna, do you remember reviewing some of these, and it was just like you'd be going through, and they were all just spot on. There was rarely one that was like, okay, no, this doesn't work.
Yeah, I distinctly remember it's one of the outfits. It's like one of like the like kind of the kimono style like dress, and in the CyberBroker layer, it has a whole like dragon on the side of it. And I remember us going through it, and you can see the little dragon on the pixel art dragon on the pixel art, you know, kimono dress. I was like, the detail is crazy. And even just like, I mean, how thoughtful the pixel shop you guys were with this, but like even like little lines in some of like the outfits or little like badges, like in some instances, like you'd have like literally like 3 pixels, but it would make all the difference. Like when you put them side by side, because when I was helping with Mike, we'd pull up the original CyberBroker layer and then the pixel one. And you'd be like, wow, this is crazy. Like how the essence is like was so totally captured, even with like those few little pixels. So yeah, I have to commend you guys. Yeah, like the fishes and the incumbent heads. Like you get the essence of them, 100%.
Yeah. Thank you. No, that's definitely have to pass that along to our lead artist. He's every trait, you know, that we worked on, we really gave it the same effort as a trait before it. So and like you said, in pixel art, that's really where it shines, is kind of capturing these little details, and really that can make or break it. The money on the politician's TV is a good example of that.
But I remember you struggling with ways to represent the different pictures inside the TVs too, to vary them, because they were all kind of the same pattern and colors, and you clearly couldn't get the words in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so that's one of the limitations, is the amount of real estate that we're working with. It's finite. So most everything, like there were some traits or layers from the original collection that we were just wondering, like before we actually stepped up to try it, we were wondering how it would translate to pixel art. The funny thing is, almost most instances, like we were able to translate it quite well. And sometimes you'll see, like, you know, we adjust the size a little bit here and there to kind of make up for, you know, the limitation of the canvas we're working with. But the politicians, we went without, you know, we went without the text on the TVs. That would have just been too busy. But you know, they still, the whole like message for the politician is, you know, it's kind of hallucinating you with the TV, telling you like, you know, some subliminal messaging, right? So we wanted to at least capture that in the animation. So you'll see the TVs do have that spiral kind of, I forget the term for it, but the spiral animation in place.
Yeah, so that's probably the next step. So, you know, these were kind of the sketch work of, okay, this is what it looks like if it's standing still. And then a lot of the details that make these pop is the modifying of the pixels during the animation. Could you explain how that process works?
Yeah, so
you want to pop up your screen?
Sure, yeah, let's do that now. I think it's a good segue.
Okay, let me pull this off here. You are live.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you basically described like what the workflow is. The turnarounds are the first step, basically just illustrating the character itself, right? And this is just one of the androids that I pulled from the collection. I thought it was a good example with the different layers that it had and the complexities. So you can see, like, we did all 4 directions first. From there, and actually let's go through this. So this is the same layer order. So you almost treat everything as a standalone sprite sheet. So you get the swords. These are the north frames, and so you don't want to apply the swords first. Then the back of the character, the body of the character, get some underwear on him, jumpsuit, and then the front of the shawl. And so from this point, we have all the turnarounds for each asset. So we basically just use a template to put it onto the model itself. This is actually a good way of doing this. So this actually gets you into the frames. And so we just go through frame by frame, basically begin with the turnaround, the profiles for each direction, and then we just animate it frame by frame to give it that look. And so you can actually like loop this. And then went through all 4 directions basically.
But at the same time, you're doing this at the layer level.
Correct. Yep. So we're treating it each individual asset at a time.
So and that's kind of what I struggled with understanding is if you're animating the layers, it's got to be interesting to make sure the frame of reference of the body is still there as you're doing it, right?
Correct. And this is not the greatest example since it's Android. It might be a little hard to see, but same concept here. Like this is just the bodysuit, and so we would do the turnarounds for the bodysuit individually. And obviously we did it on a template character, and so just basically a little bit more simplified than the Android, really just a human body. And then we go through and actually animate this individual layer on top of it.
So
and
cool.
The export is you do actually have, the final result is you just have this layer alone as a sprite sheet. And then this step is kind of treated like any other NFT collection, where you would then assemble it with all the layers that exist.
Cool. You want to show some early versions of like cats and?
Sure. Yeah. This is pretty funny. This is kind of exploring how large we wanted to make the cats relative to the other human characters. So this was, I think, the first one we did. It's I don't know if the resolution. Yeah, the resolution's not native. So
this is Brianna. This is Vice, I think.
Yeah, this is the one I love this one. He's so cool with the cigarette.
Yeah.
He's so cool.
Yeah. So this is the highest resolution down to the lowest resolution. We found the happy middle ground, so this is ultimately what we went with. These are some of our sketches. So again, the lead artist, some incredible work, but we simplify it down to just the motion first. And this will even begin with just like keyframes. So the cat in like a stretched out portion. This is like where we want to get to, and then obviously like the idle position is where it begins. So this was the kitten, which is obviously super fun. In games, these cats will be so much fun since there's not many characters that run on all fours these days.
Yeah.
Especially this little guy shooting fireballs in some PvP would be hilarious to see. This is more your full-size cat. Here's Vice again. Same situation with them, kind of identifying that keyframe, and you can see like the details is really cool, but it shares the same motion. Like the front paw kind of leads, and then touches the ground first, and the back paw kind of comes. So we really try to get like that realistic look with kind of more of a nostalgic, fun animation. So,
and this is the freedom that 6-frame animation gives you, right?
Yeah, definitely. 4 frames, 4 frames is fun, nostalgic again when you're looking at some human sprites. It's kind of like a classic, like old school Zelda walk pattern or something like that. But doing a cat animation like this would be pretty tricky in 4 frames. Probably doable, but just the level of detail.
It wouldn't look as good. Bottom line.
Yeah. So here's the front view. And same thing, we mimic the front view, or we mimic the side view in the front view, so you have the same paws kind of leading, touching down. Obviously leaving the shades on all times just for, keep him cool. Here's a human. This is kind of, again, in sketch phase, so just identifying the different legs and just helping us kind of identify like the motion. Sadly, she has no feet at this point in the process.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead.
Can you talk about the feet? Because that was something that was completely creative and up to you guys to decide.
Yeah, so at first we went with stumps, not sure how to approach it. Obviously, there's no shoes in the collection. There are some boots, there are some bodysuits, and so for those we actually did create some rules in the data set to, if they're wearing bodysuits, they we won't add shoes. But ultimately, we created shoes for the collection, just standard shoes to give them feet, to give them more of the motion. Of course, the one I selected here, these are not the shoes. This is an Android, so we kind of assume they have built-in robotic feet. They probably may not need shoes. So,
yeah, you created all of our CyberBrokers feet.
yeah,
I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just noticed too. This animation's actually 8 frames here. So this was when we were still first exploring frame counts. And then here's the Mel. And the cool thing is 6 frame to 8 frame. I think 6 frame is really good value because it looks quite smooth, almost as smooth in my eyes. So.
Well, yeah, and picture how long 8 frame would have taken to complete.
Yeah, it just adds quite a bit to the scope for sure.
Oh yeah,
this was
talk about
Ash.
Ashura. Yeah.
Yeah, this was figuring out the motion of her hands in the walk cycle. So we kind of did a trailing animation. Actually, I think this was something we explored, but we ended up leaving her hands up in this upward pose, so it didn't jump too quickly from walking and stopping. So the keys are so visible.
I still can't believe you can see all the keys individually in that.
Yeah.
And we did get this key as well.
Yeah, I think people need to go look at Ashura a little closer.
So that's about. Yeah, those are the images that I was hoping to share with you all that kind of showed. The keys are great. So
could you talk about the floating cat and that proposal that you made?
I love that.
So I can actually open that file real quick. So yeah, that cat is actually kind of unique in that it does not stand or sit like a normal cat. He's kind of just plumped over like a rag doll, if you're familiar with cats. My sister's got one, so it is, I guess you could say it kind of served as some of the inspiration. But let's actually find him real quick. Yeah, we called it Lazy Cat. So we started out, all the profiles matched the collection for the cats. And so this is how it actually looks in the original artwork. So going from this, there's a couple limitations again, especially when we're integrating it into games, is, okay, this cat could just go into the similar run animation as Vice, but does that fit with his character? And we kind of decided it doesn't. So we saw that first of all, it's AI. Second of all, we're in this futuristic world. And third, it has some headpiece that we're not entirely sure what its purpose is, other than to run the AI. So we just decided we might as well make this headpiece kind of lift the cat up and drag him around and drop him back onto the ground. So that's kind of what this animation looks like.
No, but it's so perfect, and it's just like more like lore and story like behind this whole universe. Like the first time I saw it, I was like, this is awesome. Like, I love this. We used him actually for one of our countdown graphics. He's like flies through the sky and like sits on the 3D.
Yeah, I saw that. I loved it. It was yeah, so definitely a special character in the collection as well. So we had to show the Lazy Cat some love.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, for everyone that's listening, it's not just this particular character, that level of detail and thought, like the Pixel Shop excelled at putting that into each and every layer. I can remember looking at these and just going, wow, I could just approve. I mean, I don't need to spend a lot of time. Do you remember that, Brianna?
Yeah, and CyberBrokers, we're all into the details, and I think that's why this was such a perfect partnership with the Pixel Shop, because you are the same way. And yeah, it's like the floating cat, like Ashura, even like deciding like, okay, she would keep her arms up, she wouldn't have her arms down, like all that thought, like how transparent would a specter actually be? All these just like amazing little details. And I haven't even seen like all 10,000 yet, but just like exploring myself, like you see it like as people start sharing them, just all the thought that went into making these so unique, and have such a personality. And you just, for like, especially in this like pixel art style, it makes it almost like so much more engaging. Like I think that's why it's grabbing so many people online. Like you don't expect this level of detail, I think, in pixel art. And it just came out so beautiful.
Yeah, thank you. It's yeah, it definitely was a team effort, and yeah, that's something we we value a lot, is obviously the quality of our work.
See, like look at Ashra, like look at her. She has like all the colors and the keys and just so much detail and such like a tiny little sprite.
Yeah, and this is the animation, so we kept the arms there, but gave her a little some love to the arms. So
Yeah.
And you can see the keys kind of bouncing back and forth as well.
And there's another good point, the backs. So not only do CyberBrokers have feet now, they have backs. And how did you go through the process of kind of imagining what the back would look like based upon the existing assets?
Yeah, that was mostly just researching the actual assets themselves and finding what it actually was, right? So haircuts was kind of, trying to identify like, okay, well, we're dealing with braids, so just Googling and finding out what the braids, those types of braids would look like from the back view, and just recreating it that way. And yeah, and I think that's kind of where, when we go through the collection and we started to know the diversity of it, both and the outfits and the characters themselves, that was super fun for us, since it's just like a lot of unique layers that we get to create. But in the process, kind of coming up with, or trying to identify like what the actual asset it was, and trying to figure out what the back of it may look like. A lot of it's, just in the fashion industry, you can find what these outfits are, and so we can pretty quickly find out what the backs of them would look like. So just a little bit of research, but yeah, and then obviously kind of just adding our own touch to it as well.
There's not one I haven't loved. It's a little bit like CyberBrokers Mint for me. It's you just keep looking, and there's like something new every time. Okay, I'll stop gushing. So let's ask a couple of overall questions. So when you went in, to this, you had an idea of what you thought it would be. Obviously, the scope expanded during the process to make sure we gave it the quality that we wanted to get out of it. Now that you're done and looking back, any differences between from where you started and where you ended?
No, I mean, I'm just, I'm glad that we went with the direction we went with, and I think that goes back to your all's emphasis on quality and detail. A lot of the layers we're trying to figure out at a certain point how to reduce the amount of work by consolidating and recycling some assets. But when you go through the collection, you just start to realize that most traits that exist within this collection are unique. They're not
unique
recolored.
Already.
Yeah. They're not recycled. And so ultimately, that was kind of the conclusion that we reached, was that we should, give each one the same amount of love and really try to, figure out what the nuances are, what kind of pants they are, are they high waist, are they low cut, what kind of belts or details they have on it. And you'll see, like in the collection, there are several things that we simplify, but that's mostly because of us working in a pixel art medium. Sometimes solid, simple colors look a little bit better, especially if there's something busy up top. Having some simplicity to it goes a long ways as well in pixel art. So, but no, it's I'm just really happy with how it all turned out, to be honest.
And then I think the other question, and it's kind of funny, we were talking daily, for quite a while. And I never got to ask, what was the one you loved the most, or your artists? What was the one your artists loved the most, as well as you?
Yeah, I think we've had a couple of conversations. I know one of our artists, he loves the aliens. He mentioned that just kind of the different vibe that they bring to the collection is just a lot of fun. Speaking of the back pieces, and I brought them up on my screen, but these were basically anything with a back piece I just really loved. The wings are a good example of that. The fisherman, just class in general was a lot, or talent in general was a lot of fun for me. I fish here and there, so it's like a little, you haven't seen many cyber or like futuristic fishermen, so it's kind of nice to know that maybe the future has fishing still involved.
Yeah, I think a lot of people loved the fishermen because like the bait was moving. That was like a big thing, like as they walk, and it looks so fun. Like when people were putting them in the strip and Tombstone, the fishing bouncing up and down, looked so good.
Yeah, thank you. And yeah, that one we actually treated as more of a traditional back layer versus carrying it in its hand, just to kind of keep it consistent with some other layers, and then also because of some challenges that exist with moving back assets in front of characters in 2D. So
yeah, I remember that conversation. So anything you keep like on the main character is easy is the wrong word, but it follows a pattern, so you can anticipate what it's going to do. Anytime we're putting something outside of that boundary, it kind of has the potential to mess things up when you move it and animate it, right?
Yeah, correct. So we're not dealing in a 3D world, so we have to almost treat a lot of like how layers interact with each other a little bit more manually. So there's like use of negative space, and when we built a lot of templates out to basically show where shirts should exist in relation to pants, and where and things of that nature. And so things that are objects that are in the hand, for example, need to be treated differently, which is something that we're still exploring to do. But as of right now, we kind of made some modifications to the collection to kind of address that.
Yeah, and like the balloons, and they had to have a little special touch to them to make sure they didn't mess up as part of like the assembling them again process.
Correct. Yep.
So just to kind of come back to that, these were all individual assets that kind of represented layers.
Yeah.
Then you had to, just like CyberBrokers did, put them all together in each direction, each frame, to create the final product.
Yep. And that's big kudos to you all, because dealing in layers that are in order makes life a lot easier for us. So I definitely leveraged that. The biggest difference for us is the south profiles versus the north profiles, and basically just more or less reversing the layers on those profiles, basically working spatially, like where these assets exist in relation to the character, and organizing it based on that.
One more question, and then we'll switch to the scenes here. So was the ad buddy more challenging with all the screens and cables?
Yeah, it's not too bad. It definitely was more challenging, just because you have some animation built into the cables. But generally speaking, I mean, in A-Sprite, we still build them by layer. So even though the final product for the ad buddies is essentially one completed sprite sheet, when we build it, we actually still build it with different layers involved. And so we have the background layers, which would be the TVs and the wires, and animate those almost separately, knowing that they need to connect to the center of the body of the ad buddy itself. And then we basically animated the robot piece of it by itself as well.
Probably the saving grace there was no extra layers to add, so it was kind of self-contained.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah, if there were a whole nother list of different layers related to ad buddies, complexity would go up. But still doable for sure.
So let's talk about the scenes. Brianna, do you want to kind of lead on the request and how we got to those 3?
Yeah, so we love the idea of on launch, the community being able to like instantly like transport their PixelBrokers into the paradigm lost, our universe. So we kind of thought on some iconic CyberBrokers scenes and kind of where we'd want people to go. So we went with Moss Falls, the Strip, and Tombstone for our big ones. And it was really, really fun. We shared mood boards with the Pixel Shop to give them kind of a vibe. The Strip and Moss Falls are actually locations on our website. So if you go to cyberbrokers.com and click on locations, you'll actually see some beautiful animated art of Moss Falls and the Strip. So we were able to provide those as references. But yeah, Tombstone was like brand new in terms of visualizing it, which I think is why that one has a soft spot in my heart, because it was cool to get to bring that one to life finally. And yeah, just I think I love the scene so much, which was something that the Pixel Shop worked a lot on. Is there's like all this, like there's the foreground and then there's the background, and I think that's what makes these feel really like immersive. Again, with all like with pixel art, so like as they're walking, like things are going in front of them, things are moving in the back, and I think they just came out so well. I think they just really like transported you kind of right away to the universe. And again, the metaverse covers a lot of different mediums and a lot of different art styles.
Absolutely.
So it was cool to get to see not just the CyberBrokers in the pixel art form, but what some of our, iconic locations would be.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun to work on as well. It was cool because, you all got to see the behind the scenes building of it. And so we actually kind of assembled more of a landscape background environment. And so from there, then obviously, when we build out the parallax, it kind of breaks it down or consolidates it into this square canvas that, that has all the different elements or layers of the setting kind of panning across. So it was fun to, it was definitely fun to build those environments and try to capture as much detail from the CyberBrokers world as we could. And it's also just a great way, like, having kind of the endless loop. It's a great way to kind of showcase the characters and see them in action. So we're excited to work on that with you all. So
Dot thinks there's something being said in the
fall. I do not know of anything that is in the falls, but I may have to take a look and see.
So Dot, what do you think it says in the falls? Maybe that's a better question, because from our side, there's nothing purposely placed in the falls. Can you confirm that, Brianna?
I did not purposely place anything, but I have to say, since Dot brought it up, I've had it looping in the background on my screen, and I'm trying to see, but I kind of get which I think I kind of see it.
And I may have to take a look. Buy more PixelBrokers.
There you go, exactly. There's special characters that, if they're in a certain spot at a certain time, will reveal a message. Is that what you want to hear?
Yeah.
I'm joking. That's a complete joke. Sorry.
I see the ease. I do see the ease.
Yeah. Well, and let's talk about, because we ended up, sometimes projects, actually their design is based upon technical limitations. So, to get a GIF loaded on Twitter, it has to be less than 5 megabytes in size, right?
Yeah.
So, given all the details that are in those individual scenes, there were some choices that had to be made to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, it was I mean, obviously the size of the resolution was a key deciding factor. We were able to kind of, and the length of the animation as well. So we were able to kind of find that sweet spot where we didn't really sacrifice anything on the resolution side of things, and the animation side, we really didn't have a ton of flexibility. Like, obviously we could redesign the scenes and shorten the loop or something like that, but ultimately it kind of came down to resolution. And one of the other challenges that we came across was there is a color limit when exporting GIFs, and so we had to use index colors and basically make sure that basically we didn't exceed it. Otherwise, the GIF would look really kind of flickery and not really true to form. So that really became a complication with the Spectres, since they use transparency. So anytime their arms are swinging and going over one item or element in the background, it creates like 12 new colors,
Different
and so
colors.
that can add up pretty quick. But yeah, we were able to simplify the backgrounds to kind of limit how many colors we used, and then once you put in each CyberBroker, it stays below that threshold.
So fun fact, each of those scenes is 33 gigs of assets that are online for holders to grab.
Yeah, that was a fun thing to generate.
Mike loading, you guys all loading those up was a whole project in itself.
Yeah, dealing with large files. It all worked out, and that's all that matters.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, any other questions? We're kind of over the hour here. Any other questions from the audience? Last chance. Suma, is it anything specific from you that we didn't cover, or you thought was unique and you wanted to mention?
No, I think I feel like that was a good discussion on the project in whole. So just wanted to say thank you again. We're super happy for to see the community kind of embrace these and build their own content from it. So yeah, keep that rolling. That's honestly the most rewarding part of these projects. And then if you're new to the Pixel Shop, like, feel free to give us a follow, and we have a couple other fun projects that we're working on within the Web3 space, and we may or may not be working on something ourselves. So
sweet.
Awesome.
So the pixelshop.app for website, and Real Pixel Shop on Twitter. It was a pleasure working with all of you, and the artists are just so talented. It was a pleasure every day to come in and see new artwork, and just the creativity that got put into this collection. So great collaboration, and nothing but great praise for the Pixel Shop.
Yeah, feeling is mutual. It was great working with you all as well.
Yeah. We will call this the end of Paradigm Live number 9. Brianna, are you ready for NYC?
Yes, so friendly reminder, tomorrow night, Times Square, 8:30 to 9:30, we're doing our live activation with Mona. Metaverse Mixer, Wednesday. If you've RSVP'd, just make sure you're on the guest list. So we see that view from 3 to 5 then. And then there won't be Paradigm Live next week because we have our Mech Assembly Live party. So yeah, super exciting. You'll see Mike next week. I'll be behind the scenes, but we'll catch you back up with Paradigm Live after assembly is done, and we'll have tons more to talk about, I'm sure, after that as well. So all exciting stuff.
See you in New York City, and see you at Mech Assembly.
Mm-hmm.
Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye, everyone.